Ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday. We are DebateSensei. We got ourselves Tim Seavey from San Diego State University Institutions. Yay. We got ourselves Matt Shapiro, Esquire.
Oye, oye, oye.
I'm Jared Kabika Miller. I'm your debate coach, comm professor. And every time we kind of talk about like our positions, and we thought, hey, maybe we should talk to people about the jobs that are available, through debate. I think like there's some like obvious ones where they're related to debate and they help you. Debate helps get your foot in the door for certain things.
Yeah.
I want to focus a lot, not entirely, but a lot on the jobs that are sort of directly associated with competitive debate.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so, going into law.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people, aren't necessarily thinking about law school straight out of college.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes debate makes you go that route.
It's funny when people are like in junior high and they're like, Jared, I'm going to be a lawyer. And then you talk to them at 28 and they're going like, I'm a lawyer. And you're like, dang. They knew from a very early age. I didn't, right? Like, ironically, my debate history with careers and law is kind of funny because I almost didn't become an attorney because I really wanted to be a debate coach and teach debate. For a year of my life between law school and college, I spent that time with Jared Kubicka Miller. A lot of time I coached with him at SEC, as well as I did some outside stuff with younger high school, middle school institutes and stuff like that. It was a good gig, and I really liked my job. But I ended up going to law school. And Jared, to your point originally, yes, I'm sure there's a lot of debaters out there. Forensics, Tim brought this up earlier, forensics in general. But yes, debate, it helped. It shaped my mind to understand, arguments and formulating things and separating concepts. And a lot of those things I carry directly over to law. And I mean, that's just one. I think, any sort of human-to-human interaction, sales. Tim, please. I mean, you.
Yeah. I just want to say that you're a sellout. Like,
I have nothing else to say about this.
Debate coach, and then you hacked it off in law school. No, I'm just kidding, man.
That was a
very common path. Like, half the people I feel like I competed with back in the day are either now coaches or lawyers. Like, that path is those are pretty common ones. But the middle, so you were coaching at the high school level, but you also coached middle school, right?
Yes, for a year.
That was where we overlapped. And also a lot of the people that I competed with, and I think largely it's just the rise of middle school has just created this just ridiculous demand. Like, middle school was really nowhere 5 to 10 years ago.
You'd see like a really good middle school team at a high school tournament and they would like win, and you're going, oh, okay, so they can do it. I mean, they get it. But it's not impossible.
Yeah, but there was so little compared to today. I knew just there's a 4-year span in which I was at NSDA Nationals, and then 4 years later was then again as a coach. And at that time, they said it has grown 10 times since, in the last 4 years. Like, just insane how big it's gone. And it's gone probably another 10x since then. Like, it just keeps going. Yeah. So I think the pipeline to being a middle school coach is a very common one. There are a lot of like after school type institutions that want current college competitors to be their coaches. And the more successful the college competitor, the more they tend to pay their coaches, or the more like coveted that coach can be. And even like recent alums. So I think that's a really common, straightforward pipeline that I think is so much fun. And like, there needs to be more of. Like, I think it makes the community better. That's not to say that all competitors make good coaches, because they don't.
Yeah.
Like, there's a big difference between.
There's an element of humility that is required to do any job really well. All right, like you gotta, you don't know it all. We always joke on here that the judge enters the room and they're the best debater in the round every time, at least in their mind, right?
Yeah. So I think that's an important skill that oftentimes is not learned until someone leaves debate, because you don't usually get the opportunity to be on the other side of the ballot while you're still, really in it. So getting to be a coach and getting to judge rounds and things as a current competitor, I think is a huge advantage. Like, it just forces you to really reflect on fundamentals and teach key arguments and things. So I think that's a cool advantage as a competitor, but it's also just, I think, better for the community. Like, God, you look at how good college kids are today, but very few of them probably competed in middle school. Give it, 5 more years, and those kids will have 8 years of competition under their belt, or 7 years before they hit college. It's going to be ridiculous, the level of debate. So I'm excited just to see that. It's
Jared, I don't want to cut you off, and I'll let you speak for a second. But as far as age, I think it's like sports. Debate in my mind, it's so similar to sports in that it's a social thing where I love my teammates and I love my coach, and we're learning. And in sports, you do physical activity, but you also learn how to do something. And it's very competitive if you want it to be. And if you like that kind of stuff, it's a really good activity for any age. It's kind of humbling for the older people to watch a middle schooler do it. You know what I mean? So, but Jared, please go ahead.
Let's start with the lowest level of sort of commitment, the lowest level of experience that you need in order to actually kind of get a job doing something in debate. And I think what that is volunteer coach, hired judge. So a lot of times you kind of hook up with a squad, you're like, hey, I'd love to come in and kind of help you coach. And so that part is kind of like the volunteer part. Now, don't get me wrong, that's still really good on applications for universities and job applications too. So that that still kind of helps pad your resume. But as far as, actually getting paid for some of that at the tournaments themselves, oftentimes the schools that you're helping, they need extra judges. They just don't have enough, and they could do that.
To piggyback off this, Jared and I, our original relationship was coach and competitor. But there was another time where Jared and I, when I was at Cal State Fullerton, which, by the way, shout out to Cal State Fullerton. I heard they have a team at NDT this year, and they're killing it. And let's go Titans. But Titans. Jared works at Santiago. I was at Fullerton. We set up coach. This goes to coaches and students. We set up an internship. Okay, there's criteria as to how to set up internships at schools. DebateSensei and Proto Communications is specializes in helping that kind of stuff. So if you have questions about that, call us, but or email. But you can do that at your school, and that opens opportunities for coaches who need help, possibly paid internships, things like that, externships. Who knows what it is, but you should know that that's kind of part of me and Jared's relationship. We ended up setting up 2, one at SEC and one at Cal State Fullerton to make it happen. But that is an option. The list of internships is not limited technically if you can fulfill specific criteria in good faith and do those things.
But getting paid to judge is one of the easiest things.
Yes.
You don't have to have a degree necessarily to do that. It definitely helps to have some experience.
Yes.
In fact, I'd like to give a shout out to a friend of mine, Blake, who put together a really nice sort of business.
Blake Longfellow.
Yeah, that and so you can go check out Hire Judge, and if you got some experience, you could sign up to be a judge and get notified and judge for tournaments. And it's especially helpful if you are in with a squad of some sort. So go to your local college, high school, middle school, and even if you're volunteer coaching, there might be some. I'm not sure how high schools and middle schools handle hired judges, but
I bet you it's cutting edge stuff. It's cutting edge. I don't know. These relationships may not have been formed yet, but this is part of this today is hopefully getting people in touch with resources they may not even know exist.
Yeah, Hire Judge is an amazing one because for tournament directors, it is an invaluable source Like, I don't know how many middle school tournaments we ran back in the day that we were like pleading with every parent that was there to get, to pick up a ballot. And that's usually one of the biggest criticisms of, middle school and high school tournaments is just the quality of judging is, dismal.
It's more often parents.
Yeah, you get parents. Like I've debated for like the cafeteria staff, for like security guards. Like they just pass out ballots to any like breathing adult body on campus. Like, I get it. Like now, as a tournament director, I get it. Like you just need the round to happen because everything's running behind on it. The parents are. And like, and the parents want to, like, they're doing their best because like they're support their kid, but they don't have the experience with the thing, and this like kids are upset because they prepare for this round that ends up being judged in a totally different way. So it's frustrating to all parties, and so like huge shout out to Hire Judge. Like I can't believe that hasn't been around forever. So amazing solution for tournament directors to be able to pull in qualified good judges because Hire Judge does a good job of vetting to make sure they get good judges in, and that's a great source for recent grads that just have this experience and are figuring out other stuff to supplement some weekend income.
Hire Judge is also a testament to showing how there's a lot of room in this universe of debate and competitive forensics for entrepreneur spirit and seeing how you can help fulfill roles, facilitate tournaments, facilitate teams, that use your mind and operationalize your ideas. Who knows? There is an avenue of job pathways in debate that is what could you fulfill a need? Could you make it better? I mean, make it better meaning can you help the process in any way?
Yeah. So I mean, but that's one of the easy ones. You don't have to get a degree in order to do that. And usually people are just, really happy to get any sort of support or assistance. Experience, I think, is still really, really key. But at the same time, you don't need to have finished everything in order to do that. You could start kind of doing, especially at like the high school level, right?
And like
the next level up would be after you kind of get a degree, after you're done with your eligibility. Assistant coaching. So maybe you got a bachelor's, but you haven't moved on to the master's, so you can't get the full-time gig, but there's still like instructor's assistants and coaching assistants, you know what I mean? And there are ways that people, even at the college level where we have these sort of positions where we can get people sort of part-time work paid to actually do the coaching, not just the judging part now. Like this is now the next level, right? You're actually for the student interaction, you're actually getting paid for that. And so
in that regard, Jared, this is where, as someone who has been through the process, I know Jared has done it a long time ago. I know Tim at various stages, I'm sure has done the same thing. I'm sure idealistically, if I want to coach at the school I went to, okay, but you also need to do kind of a calculus in your mind of saying, what schools have the most competitors? What schools have the most budget? Often go talk to several DOFs, directors of forensics. Go talk to several people who run programs and just be blunt. Be like, do you have room for a paid position? Do you need a position? They'll say yes. They'll say no. Get your answer. And that allows you to kind of continue your search. You may not end up working. I wish and I hope, and everyone does hope they work at where they went. But if you're really just looking for a job in debate, you got to kind of be smart in thinking, where is the job? Is the job at, a huge school that has a massive budget, or is it at some school who I have to convince a principal to fund it? Which, in that regard, that's another thing. Like, we all are huge proponents of debate. So if you could start positions, if you're able to convince a principal or a institute director that they should include debate and they could pay you to just run it, that's kind of what I jumped into partly at that time and that year. So
there's also people so you don't necessarily need a degree to be working like after school program.
No.
You know what I mean? Or extracurricular programs, debate camps.
You have to
things
sell yourself.
Those also exist. And it's right about this same sort of, education and experience level that you can, summer camps are, you could do 2 or 3 of those if you time it right. You know what I mean? And
you can make bank on summer camps. I know people that fund their semester by judging and coaching big
if
summer
you have
camps.
questions on how to run a summer camp, if you want help setting up a summer camp, call us, email us, and we can help you with that. I don't mean to plug it shamelessly. This is honest help. This is honest advice. We have some experience with these things, can help develop these things, and you might be able to make some money yourself. That's the whole point. So sorry.
But I mean, there's urban debate leagues, maybe asking what sort of type of support they need. They might not be able to pay for just they might have volunteer and still have some sort of other ancillary sort of positions and things like that. But there's a lot of programs out there that are constantly looking for people that are enthusiastic. Sometimes they don't even need experience, that you don't have to have had any debate experience competitively to volunteer or even be on their staff. Is just having a degree might help. In
the same breath as that, one of the things I ran into is you end up possibly coaching types of debate that you've never coached before. That you may not have as much experience, if any, in. There are differences in high school LD and college LD. There's rules, there's technical rules, there's time limit rules. There's all kinds of various things of even trends in the the culture and what they expect in around. Excuse me. Just you need to prepare for a learning curve, in my opinion, as a judge, as a coach. Don't try to shove square pegs in round holes, and red
holes for that matter.
Yeah. Any holes for that matter. But the point is just there is an element of debate, and there's an element of getting a job, and there's an element of getting a job in debate where you gotta sell yourself. You need to be confident. Don't oversell. Do what you can commit to doing, but we're all kind of harping on evading the degree. Get your degree, all right? And now, Jared, let's talk about after you get a degree, because there's a bunch of people out there with that at that point.
And I think you got to think about some people got their degree and they never competed, and now they find it, and they're like, oh, it's too late, I can't do it. No. There are plenty of people that are really great coaches with zero experience and
practice. Go do a few, figure it out.
Right. There's a lot of people that are they're doing the adjunct professor stuff, right? They're part-time professors. Maybe they're looking for tenure at some place, or maybe they don't care about tenure. Maybe that's not their gig or anything like that. But that having this extra sort of tool in your utility belt is really helpful, because it doesn't always happen, but sometimes that there is a team, and the tiebreaker between you and somebody else is your willingness to participate in the debate team,
extracurriculars,
to volunteer and still get paid to judge. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like the same thing, but it actually helps you secure other jobs if you're kind of you can use
coaches as resources as well, right? And what I mean by that is Jared, for instance, he was my coach at Fullerton. I had several coaches that I was very close with as well, where you could ask them to ask their social network of coaches if anyone needs assistance. Okay. And so this is kind of where the burden is not on your coach. The burden is on you to make that connection, maybe even prepare that letter to just give them and say, hey, can you send this to your various friends or whatever? These types of, diligent, efforts are honestly the things that will set you apart and kind of give rise to hopefully an opportunity where someone else doesn't have one. But, operationally, practically, also, I found one job on straight Craigslist. I found an institute job on Craigslist. So when you're looking for a debate job, look everywhere and anywhere. Who knows where you can find it.
Can be a
Excellent.
little bit shady. You'd be finding too many jobs through Craigslist. But yeah,
I found my 14th job through debate. That one was in debate,
Yeah.
at least on Craigslist.
But I mean, there's lots of institutions out there that are always growing, that always like need more. So
What are you
again,
insinuating,
if I
Tim?
didn't also plug ACLA, like so aclacademy.org, like they have a ton of programs that are always growing new positions. Like they always need new coaches to be coming in. And that's something that it's like you get a salary if you are a current student, you get a raise if you are if you have your degree, if you have your graduate degree, if you have finished it. And like you're kind of a growing, space. And I think as an institution, right, like those are useful stepping stones that gets you into other programs or gets you into the grad program or gets you into, the next level. So I would say this though, Matt, there are better organizations to work for than others, right? Like there are definitely
no question. But if you want to get paid,
that they'll take care of you more than others. So I wouldn't just recommend like take whatever the first thing you can get necessarily out there in debate land. Like be considerate of where you're going with it. But there still exist a lot of really, really killer programs out there.
Maybe built into what I was saying earlier about like not working in the place you may have gone to. Part of you're right, Tim, and I didn't mean to mislead anyone. Don't go for the first place. If this I hate to say, let's throw some shade. Debate programs are some of the most, free labor seeking markets of all.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's a lot of opportunities for growth, which just means you get to work for free every weekend.
Yeah, I mean, trust me. There's every school is ready to help you with your career by giving you a job for free right now. Every single one of them. So we're talking now about how to make a buck. Well, what I meant earlier is look around for programs. If your school says, let's just take your school, for instance, not any of these two, but yours metaphorically, you go, hey, coach, I want a job. I'm done competing for one reason or another, and I want to coach. Can I get a paid job? No, we don't have a budget. Okay. At that point, you could say, fine, I'll coach here for free, or do what I was trying to say earlier, falling in line with what everybody else is saying. Just, go be smart and think, well, hey, this school is local to me, and maybe it's 10, 15 miles away, but it's a huge team. And the turnover, the oftentimes there's coaches who are assistants who become DOFs in some other place, or they things happen, positions open, things expand, and ask around, and that search is like any other job search, and you're lucky to have a focus on debate. And
so Tim was talking about ACLA. That's the Argumentation and Communication Leadership Academy. Our good friend Washington, leads that up, and that's a really sort of good example of a place that is looking for. And I think the market of the people that looking for like recent graduates from communication programs or political science programs or things like that. You just recently got your bachelor's, and they're looking for enthusiastic people that can work with middle school, maybe some high school students to. I don't even think they need a whole load of experience doing that.
No.
You know what I mean? It's like that they need people that are intelligent and kind of, at the very least know about it. And so you don't have to compete in order to kind of be part of it. You can join up. And
that being said, I want to butt in again, because that's all I do on this show. We are talking a lot about people who have no experience, and that's true. Don't feel slighted or worried. If you are passionate about this, anyone and everyone is excited to push it and make it bigger. But if you do have a bunch of experience, you did win a tournament, you do have some experience, like those are literally your resume. Those are literally, if you're passionate about this and you don't know if you want to do it, you got to pencil out a plan. And we've been talking a lot about that plan, but you will use those things. And whatever little success I've had, I use those things too. And don't. There are jobs, and you can.
Grow, especially people with experience. Like one of the more unknown sort of jobs that you could get, a really simple part-time job, is actually publishers put together evidence packets every year when
that is an alliteration.
Publishers
put together publishing packets.
The evidence packets are for specific topics. that are released sometimes
Research.
like regularly or sometimes once a year. And so if you got that level of experience, you can search out. Now, some of them off the top of my head are like Victory Briefs is amazing. Like from what I can tell, you know what I mean? I don't have a real personal knowledge, but I see that they do pretty good work. West Coast Debate puts together packets for high school and below, I believe.
Squirrel Killers. Oh, I love Squirrel Killers.
Hey, I want to jump in. Here's another thing. I mean, here's an interesting kind of thing about debate careers. Okay, let's say you're a programmer and you fell in love with debate. Call your local company, school, anyone you know, and tell them, "Hey, I'm a programmer and I love debate." You're hired. I mean, there's almost a part of me that will think like you call us. Call us. You're a programmer. You love debate. You're looking for a job. Call me. Call us.
Yeah.
Because I guess what I'm saying is programmer is a metaphor. If you have some outside skill, I mean, there's a million jobs in debate if you're able to bring something in that everyone else needs. Okay.
I mean, like anyone who's watching this right now, and you got some coding abilities. It's like, man, I would love to talk to you. You know, and so there's actually entrepreneur. But before we get there, and so there's like that. You could get that. So you could have no experience, but now let's say like you're just, all right, I'm in it and I'm going to see how far I can go and stuff like that. What's your, how do you get like the debate coach job?
Patience.
Yeah.
Step number one, patience.
Well, usually a comm degree. So so for the first thing is that there are some people that are doing it and they're getting a political science degree, and they're like, okay, I'm going to be a speechwriter or I'm going to go into politics or something like that.
Any degree, really, right?
I mean, and then at the last minute, they're kind of like, no, I want to teach. So it's unfortunate, but that degree now becomes kind of an issue, right? Having a comm degree is really important. People that that got kind of tripped up, they have to do these equivalencies in order to get their I'm talking graduate degree. So like your master's degree, you'd have to get that in communications because these speech and debate teams are pretty much housed in the communications department now. Yeah. And so you got to get that. You got to go for the comm degree, maybe rhetoric or something like that. And
just to be very specific, not mass communications or anything like that. At Fullerton, for instance, it was called Human Communication Studies. At SEC, it's just called communications. SEC is a community college. Just saying that out loud, saying if you have a specific name or if there's a bunch of different words, communications alone might not be specific enough. But I'm just saying, double check your roster, double check whatever. But yeah, you're right, Jared. It's communications of some variety at every school, I would imagine. So the debate units, the competition units, those are communications units.
But even then, there's nobody that I know of that is a full-time just debate coach. You are a professor, and then you also do, and usually you do the speech and debate team on top of your teaching.
And just to give an example, my buddy old Jared here, he's an argumentation teacher and has several sections at a college of that. And he's a public speaking teacher, and he has several sections of that. And he's a group dynamics teacher, and he has several sections of that. And he does debate. That's what he's saying. So it's not like his whole life is just debate, even though he wishes it was.
Yeah, and so if let's say that you are at some college that doesn't have a program and you want to start one up, and you're like, oh man, but like, how do I get paid for that? You have to, you really do have to approach the administration about getting like stipends for coaching, getting a budget for assistant coaches, making sure that you have curriculum so you can offer courses in this, and therefore part of your teaching load is for speech and debate. There's a lot of things you got to really set up if you want to get compensated for what is real valuable work. You know what I mean? It's
and skills
labeled. Yeah, it's skilled labor. You know what I mean? It's like this is not something that everybody can do.
And Gary Reibold has the IVC project that he published that is like his dissertation about that very process of getting teams started on campuses and has literally a playbook that he has published on the subject of how to approach administration, how to make it valuable for them. So that's, I mean, you can check that out on IVC's website.
What was the name again?
IVC project. The IVC project by Gary Rybald, Dr. Gary Rybald, the man at IVC. But that's on that very specific subject. So super useful resources on how to either reinstate a team or create a team from scratch, and how to approach administration and the right things, that the levers to pull that make it worth administration's time.
There's 1,000 jobs in debate specifically, and part of today was supposed to be about how, law, you want to be in front of people, you want to do sales, you want to do acting, anything like that. There's a bunch of stuff that competitive forensics tends to, in the abstract, I would say, but go pursue and do debate, and I love it. It's my favorite thing in the world.
All right, everybody. Hey, that's our time. I'm thinking next week maybe we do a little bit of a topic analysis for next year's topic on NFALD. They just released the topic area.
I think it should be debate is fun.
Debate is fun.
Debate is fun.
All right.
And I'll
listen, hey, that's our time. We got Tim CV from San Diego State Visolutions. We got Matt Shapiro, Esquire. I am your debate coach, communications professor, Jared Kabuka Miller. We will see you next week, everybody. All right. Bye.